Hey, congratulations for the Wall of Mexico.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's really an honor because I didn't expect to get both of you, the sisters, on this interview at once, because I've seen a bunch of emails, proposals, and it was like one or the other, but they said, you know what?
Carmela is a big draw for me too.
I agreed when I knew Marisol.
So let's talk about this movie. Initially, what actually drew you to this movie? Why did you want to do The Wall of Mexico?
Go for it, Mom.
Okay. I like this question because I think we both sort of have similar responses to it. So The Wall of Mexico, it sounded like I got it on a Friday. I was like just about to go to dinner with my friends, and it was like, read this, put yourself on tape. The directors are out of the country. It was very exotic. And I was like, The Wall of Mexico, a zombie apocalypse, cartel girl, end of the world, crawling over Mexico movie. And I didn't read it that night. I went to dinner. I read it the next day on a Saturday, and I was glued to my screen. It was this dialogue-driven, totally zany. I had to like have my dictionary out, looking up words. It was, I loved the characters. I loved that they were beautiful and brilliant, and it wasn't what I expected. Carmela, what do you think?
Yeah, I felt the same way. The script was just amazing to read, and all of the colors and beautiful imagery that you see in the film were really alive on paper too in the script. And I was just really captivated by the sisters' relationship and their bizarre yet profound exchanges that they have. And I was just like, oh, this is so different from most of the scripts I read every day. So
different.
Yeah, we were really excited to have the opportunity to be a part of it.
So how did you ladies get into the headspace of these two sisters? I mean, you have to realize these two sisters are, not quite normal sisters out there.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, initially they gave us, I think they're such actors, directors, like they gave us homework, and I'm like, oh my God, homework. They gave me a couple movies to watch to lean into Tania. And I can't imagine what they gave Carmela. They gave you homework, right? Like intense.
Oh yeah, they gave me some really interesting material to kind of feed off of. But we also got, before we went down to film it, even though the film takes place in Southern California, we actually filmed it in Mexico. But before we went down to go film it, we had a couple months where we were able to work together, Marisol and I, and with the directors, and just kind of bounce different ideas off. And obviously what the byproduct of that was something beautifully bizarre.
It was really fun because we got to rehearse. Like it felt almost like theater. Like it felt theatrical and staging. We like stood on our feet and they asked us what we thought. And it's like, what a concept. It's collaborative. And everybody says film is such a collaborative form, and it is, but this really felt it from the nascent stages. Like they live in London and they flew over early, in their Airbnb, and Carmela and I would go over with our like little notebooks and with our ideas, and it was so much fun. It was such a rare treat, I think.
So before you started production, in order to get that that synergy between two sisters, what was your bonding ritual for the both of you?
It was weird. The sister
was the directors. It's like, Carmela, they're so strange and I'm obsessed with them. And she's like, me too.
Yeah, so we bonded over that. But it was weird. The first time we ever hung out, we just decided to go get coffee to get to know each other. And an hour in, I'm telling her like my entire dating history and every guy I've ever been with, my deepest, darkest secrets. And we just hit it off really, really well. So hopefully that's evident in the film.
It's Carmela's open, and she's like a blooming flower, and she just gives and gives. And it's like, oh my gosh, the other actress, I look them up on Instagram. I mean, I don't know, I like stalked Carmela, and I was like, oh my God, she's so cool, her eyes are so big. And then I met her, and she was just clear as like a fucking sunny day, and I just wanted to spend all my time with her, and we talked about boys, which is a really good way in. If you want to talk about boys,
and so
really
unlike this, yeah, but also so unlike the sisters in the film. So
yeah.
it was cool to get to know each other for who we are and not just who Jimena and Tania are.
Wow. Now, the funniest thing is when I first heard about this movie, there were so many big names in this movie. That, you know, Isai was in the film. You know, Mariel Hemingway was in the film. Alex was in the film, and at first I thought it was the movie about them, but it's really a movie about you two and Jackson. I mean, how did it feel that you two, as sisters, had to carry this movie?
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, and I think it was quite brave of the directors to take a leap of faith when everything is about names and sort of status. And I think that was their commentary also in making their material. They are quite brave in staying true to themselves, and you know, they chose us.
What did you think about the, you know, sort of the underlying theme of the Wall of Mexico? You know, the water, the wall, you know, how that is relating to, you know, society today?
I love all the different visuals in the film that give you the opportunity to ponder many different types of barriers that we all have up within one another's relationships. And it's romantic barriers, it's intellectual barriers, it's emotional barriers, and yes, also political, socioeconomic barriers. And now is an important time to really be pondering all that divides us in many different ways. And I think the film is really good about not telling you what to think about that, but letting you just kind of delve into that whole concept of separation and division, and why we as humans sometimes feel this sense of necessity to bar ourselves off from others for many reasons.
Yeah, at all levels, to protect yourself, whether it's on a personal level or now, you know, it's a safety level, it's a health level with COVID, all of these different barriers. I think it explored it so in such a bright and shiny way. And, you know, this film was a reaction to 2016 and what was going on then, and sort of the farcical, sort of crazy turn that was happening with our politics. And I just love that it flipped it on its head, and this thing that it was in the news every day, like the Wall of Mexico, you know, for some time. And I love that they just stared at it and they said, we're going to create this allegory and we're going to add all this fun stuff in and use all these colors and put beautiful Carmela in it, and you're going to think about it. So yeah,
I guess we did think about it. Talk about this ranch that this production was actually taking place. Did you girls get to stay there, or did they put you in a hotel?
We sort of, it was very like commune, like we all the actors stayed in the same place. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It was like an art cult. We were very close to the ranch where we were acting and where we were eating and sleeping. It was sort of this like eye of the storm, this psychedelic art storm. I don't know. Carmela and I were right next to each other as sisters, so we'd like go over and talk about the day and fall asleep eating.
Yeah, and it was on a vineyard in Tecate, Mexico. So we had all of our basic necessities right within the compound.
I don't know, that bedroom where the sisters actually stayed, that was pretty psychedelic in its own way, whoever the decorator was.
Oh my God, when they showed that to us, they kept it closed for a long time. We were shooting other things. We're like, what's in our room? When are we gonna get to? When they showed that to us, I mean, Carmela and I both freaked. You know, it's this room, it's a physical space. It's architecture based on imaginary characters that you're building. And I mean, it's like, as an actor, that's like the ultimate, you know, you go around and you see somebody's imagination. You're like, oh my gosh, that's my character's favorite book, you know, and it was so fun to sort of excavate the whole area. I'm so glad that you thought it was cool too, because we wanted to take apart that room and take it home with us.
When I saw that, I was like, who could live in that type of room?
Crazy girl. You're looking at him.
Well, let's talk about the third wheel. Obviously, Jackson is the third character. You know, he's not even here, but let's talk. Let's talk about him. How was it like working with Jackson?
Oh, he's such a dream. He's just as incredible as he is an actor. He is a human, and he's a family man. So we got to hear a lot about his wife and his kids, and it was just amazing to be able to work with somebody that I've admired for a long time, dating back to, you know, teeny bopper years.
Look at her smile.
Yeah, so he's just great. He's such a genuinely incredible person that it was an honor to be able to work with him so closely.
You know, he's so handsome and youthful, but he has been doing this for a long time, and it was my first sort of kind of leading role, and he was such a comfort in that. Like, I was trying to do everything right and trying to, you know, do the best job, be like a very good student, and Jackson just like took us under his wing and was like, hey, like, you want to rehearse, you want to do this? He's golden, absolutely golden.
Truly.
Well, the directors have put you ladies in some unusual scenes. So since we were talking about Jackson, Marisol, Jackson had to carry you like he's a pony. Talk about that rehearsal or that scene that you actually had to do that, because that was probably either uncomfortable or most enjoyable for you.
You know, clever gig. That was actually the scene, I don't know if Carmela remembers this, but I was most nervous about.
I remember.
I was nervous about my acting. I think it was like scene 5. And I was like, I'm so scared about scene 5, Carmela. And she's like, you're gonna be great. And I was like, I'm so scared about scene 5. They're gonna fire me. Jackson and I told him I was nervous, and we stayed up pretty late the night before talking about acting. And we got up, I think, really early or really late. It was like a night shoot to get that light. And I think I got sleepy and insecure and weepy, and it just worked. And we were hours riding his back, and he was bruised, but he's a hard worker. I mean, acting is sometimes painful, and I think I got heavier by the hour. But I'm not sure if I nailed the scene, but I'm glad that you appreciate it in some regard, and I'm sure Jackson's glad it's over.
Well, it's just that there's so many memorable scenes. But let me talk about a different, unusual, probably awkward scene in the bedroom. But I'm not talking about that scene. I'm going to talk about the mouth guard scene.
Oh my God.
Where all 3 of you actually had to put in that mouth guard. Talk about how unusual was that, and how did the directors manage to talk you to do that?
I think it's a real game. I've played it before. You can buy it as a board game.
Carmela's like, I'm an expert. It's not unusual.
It wasn't weird. I've played it with my sisters and my mom, and it's always a riot. But I just love that they kind of used it as a device to be able to spew out this philosophical theory, but juxtaposed with this bizarre physical contortion of our faces. So it's such a weird scene, and the laughs that took place both on camera and off were completely genuine, because it's just I thought that was cool. That was something I'd never seen before on TV or film.
Yeah, we were just, I mean, with the directors, we pretty much say yes to everything that they asked us to do, because we not only felt safe, but we felt like they were really on the verge of something. And we were just drooling over ourselves and improvising, and it was what you saw was how we were hysterical. It was like 2 a.m. or something, and we were just hysterical.
I was convinced because I almost thought that you girls were truly on drugs doing that scene or something.
Good marker.
It felt like it.
Well, there is another memorable scene that I also want to talk about. It's just between you two, where you two did a few photo shoots. Talk about recreating those scenes. Marisol wearing the costume, Carmela taking the photos, and especially doing the smoke at the bridge. I thought that looked uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, Carmela did the smoke bomb. How'd you feel about that, Carmela?
Oh yeah, that was me in the fuzzy costume, and that was one of the very first scenes we filmed of the whole movie. And it was on a beautifully hot day in Mexico, so it was really challenging to film, but I loved the visual effect that the smoke bomb ended up happening. But I just remember that was one of the very first things we shot, and it was challenging, but good to get it out of the way in the beginning.
I just love that these girls have so many interests. They're like fully human and fully fascinating. You know, photography, literature, everything that Carmela says is absolute genius in real life, and then as her character, Jimena. But
No.
I just love that they you know, colored inside the lines and outside when creating these characters, because we got to play with so many things, tactile things in our head. It was quite a ride.
So what was the since you both been through so many different things on the set, what was the greatest challenge, really?
That's a good question.
Good question, Greg.
I think, let me see. I think truly fully attempting to understand on a really deep level a lot of the theories that we were spewing. You have to also be able to study that and know what you're saying, and also come across as you know what you're talking about and that you have been for years. So for me, it was really challenging to delve into specific critical theory that I had never read before, but that was also a huge bonus of the film, was just this incredible education that I was able to absorb from the directors, and specifically Zach, who wrote the film. So it was hard trying to balance, you know, those aspects, but a huge reward at the same time.
Yeah, it was definitely an education. The directors come from the academic world, and so they bring an entire lifetime of knowledge, and they're like, here, say this, and this is what it means. And it was, for both of us, we were just like
Okay.
like, what's that theory? Tell me more. So that, you know, like picking their brains at over dinner time, you're like, what does Jimena mean by that?
So after doing this movie, do you have a better understanding of those sisters, or does it confuse you even more?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I feel like there's something innate within the two of them that anybody who has a sibling or even a close best friend can relate to, just their symbiotic nature and just how they exist harmoniously, but also not. And there's something relatable in there, no matter what your dynamic is, for sure.
You were saying, Carmela, before you said something about like the way you understand your dog or something, like the way these siblings sort of are amoebas, and the way you finish each other's sentences. It's nice to recognize that. And Carmela's a friend, and I just hope that we got close to something that everyone knows, but that's hard to put on screen. Sometimes you don't believe that people are siblings, you know, and you're just like, I have a sibling. That's not how people interact. So I hope we got that.
You know, I was thoroughly convinced. I almost thought you both were actual sisters, but now talking to you both, now I'm convinced you're not. So.
Well, I'm glad.
We did our job.
Yeah.
but now I'm convinced that you're both still pretty good friends with each other after all this.
Yeah, absolutely. After I'm going through all that, it's a forever thing.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, let me start wrapping things up on my end here. You know, we're living in a fascinating time, you know, with the pandemic and all this kind of stuff. But for the both of you, how are you staying sane and creative during times like this?
I mean, sane is such a malleable word. I feel like my definition of sanity has absolutely changed since this started. You know, you feel like you're living in a padded room in your head. How do I get out? Artistically, it for me, reading has always been like a way in to sort of take, whether I'm reading a play or a novel, to take sort of the attention out of my mind and pay attention to other characters. So that for me has been kind of a mini escape. And I've done a couple play readings with some fellow actors, and it feels, you know, like this interview. Like, I'd love to see you in person and like shake your hand, gig. But there's a wall, a barrier. But we're still trying. We're still percolating. Like, we're still reaching out.
Yeah, it's been very challenging, and you know, for a while things are starting to pick up again, but you know, there was a huge span where we went how many months without one audition or one opportunity to even
we're like, who
try.
are we if we're not auditioning?
Right. It's just so weird that Hollywood had, you know, kind of shut down during the beginning of COVID, and now we're navigating new ways to be able to open up and film things again in a safe way. But I've just been trying to stay sane by learning new things, catching up with people I don't normally talk to. I took out my old keyboard. I'm trying to learn Moonlight Sonata on the piano. So things
We
like
want to see that. The people want to see that, Carmela.
just give me a couple more weeks.
Well, this has been like excellent conversation, but I just also wanted to let I think I met Marisol before in Newport Beach.
Oh yeah. Hello again.
Yeah, I don't think I met Carmela. I think she was there, but she didn't.
There. Yeah.
Yeah, I got there late, so I missed a lot of interviews. My sole representative.
Typical Carmela. No, not at all.
Well, it is Newport Beach, right? You know, it's beautiful. It was nice weather, and it was a great premiere for the Wall of Mexico.
Thank you, and it's good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out.
Hey, not a problem. Hey, excellent. Hey, thank you very much, ladies. Hey, and hopefully I see both of you in the same movie again in the future.
Oh my gosh.
Let's do it. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Excellent. Bye now. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.